patients, friends, and neighbors. My name is Dr. Amanda Ennis from Metropolitan Veterinary Center. Today I wanted to demonstrate to you some handling techniques that we use for our cat patients here at Metropolitan. I'll go through the list, but I will say that I'm a big believer in the path of least resistance sometimes being the most effective and the easiest. So if you get a cat who is food motivated, sometimes treats can be a great handling technique. So for example, Wonton usually loves to eat, and if I give him some treats, or if I had a technician giving him some treats, he'd be pretty workable for me to look at him, give him vaccines into his shoulder, pick him up, even take his temperature, I think, while he was getting a treat. So we could lift up his tail and take his temperature, and I don't think he'd mind too much. So for some dogs and cats, treats can even be a way to focus them for us to get blood or trim up the nails. So I would never underestimate the power of treats. However, treats don't work in some dogs or cats. Cats notoriously, I think, when they get nervous, they don't tend to want treats. So alternatively, I wanted to show you a couple other techniques that we use for cats. One is a standing technique. A technician will put a hand under and around the neck, and then under and around the belly, and hold the cat fairly close to their body. In this way, we can have access to the back leg, even the front of the mouth, and the rear end if we were taking a temperature. You can do that the other way too. Oh, Wonton. So it'd be something like this, but you see we have access to the hindquarters and the tail. It's very hard for a cat to bite you or scratch you if you're that close to him or her, because they just don't have the leverage to do so. Oh, there he goes again. But I like that technique. Sometimes it works a little bit better in small dogs than cats, or even big dogs. But I would say it is a technique that we use in cats also. Another technique that sometimes we use in cats, I'll just tempt Wonton to come over here with treats, but it's called a lateral restraint technique. Oh yeah. So I'll put these treats up on the table for him. Oh, good boy. And then in the lateral restraint technique, what we do is grab the scruff of the cat's neck. This shouldn't hurt. There's not a lot of nerves that run through here. And for some cats, I think it's also reminiscent of how their mother used to carry them when they were little kittens by the scruff of their neck. But at any rate, we grab the scruff, turn the kitty over, and try to grab the paws like this, so that a doctor can take a listen to the full body. We could trim up the nails in this position. We could look at the eyes and ears and even give some vaccines. So Wonton doesn't really like being on his side, but the fact that I have a good scruff on his neck and a good hold of his paws makes him more tolerant and also kind of, immobilized unless he was really struggling. So I'll let him up. Yeah. Oh, buddy. And then I want to show you one more technique that we use for cats specifically that are trying to bite us or who are getting really ramped up when they see what's going on around them. And that is using a cat hood or calming mask to place over the cat's head to remove visual stimulus and also prevent biting behavior. So I'll demonstrate that, again, kind of using treats to get Wonton where I want him. Look at this. Oh yes, it's a treat. It's a treat. Yeah. I know. So he can eat all those treats, but the purpose of this hood is that it goes under and around the face, and then around the ears. It's tailored to the size of the cat. And then this ties as tight as you want it, but just tight enough so that he can't get the hood over his ears. And then in this way, you can pretty much do anything that you need to that doesn't involve looking at the mouth or around the face. But anything else like giving vaccines or getting blood, taking the temperature, or using one of the other techniques works well. So I will take this off of Wonton, and then I'll show one final technique while he's still up here. And that's almost like a swaddle technique. So we take a blanket like this, which he's already half removed from the table. We open it up. Oop, there we go. And then perform sort of a swaddling technique like this, under and around the paws. Yeah. So Wonton's getting a little angry now, but you can see with this technique, the feet are covered, the head is exposed, so we could do what we need to do around the head and ears and mouth, and maybe even take blood from the jugular vein, but you know, the paws are pretty well controlled. If we wanted to, we could even give a vaccine into one of the hindquarters and take a temperature. I think Wonton has had enough of the restraint techniques, so I'm going to let him go. But those are just a couple restraint techniques that we use here at the hospital. Some are more effective for certain patients. So I'd say, you know, again, let us use our judgment in terms of what might work best for your pet. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope that this was helpful.